Well, hey, beautiful friends. It's Marianne Goldweber, spiritual teacher, professional medium, and owner of a Village of Personal and Spiritual Development Center from Cleveland, Ohio, coming to you live tonight for my last video podcast of the year, which is New Year's Eve 2026 coming. Yes, leaving 2025. We have some very inclement weather here in Cleveland, which is putting the kibosh on some people's plans. So grab your cuppa, and join me. We're going to have a little talk about the year, what we're doing, and what's coming for us. The universe has been very supportive and helping us remain peaceful amidst the change, and it's a good thing. So winter is a time of reflection, and New Year's is another interesting holiday where we reflect on all of it. So let's talk about that tonight. Hey, Lisa, thanks for joining me. And I usually wait a little bit for everybody to get on. So what are you doing tonight? I made 13 quarts of beef barley soup today for an event I'm doing with my family. And so I made soup, I made potato salad, I made gifts. We still haven't done our Christmas together, so we were saving it for now. And so we're all getting together, and we're going to be celebrating that, bringing in the new year together. So, so we're just going to make it one giant thing. So how you guys doing? What are you doing today? I don't know. People come in from all over the country, sometimes even out of the country. So there's a time difference, and they're not all here in Cleveland. We've got kind of snowy, icky weather out there. Plus, it's super cold and windy. Yeah, I don't want to go out there. I've done enough of these events under my belt, performing or attending New Year's Eves in places that are crowded. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't have the energy for that anymore. I like the quiet thing, I enjoy the quiet thing and getting together with folks. So I'm staying home tonight, and I'm going to just be virtual with you guys. So thanks for coming on, and hey, Terry, thanks for joining me. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about New Year's and, this time of the year. And my message this morning was about rest, reflect, and commit. Okay. So, people make all these New Year's resolutions, so they seem kind of abusive, okay? Like, you're going to change everything and you're going to be better and all of that. And that falls by the wayside. So the word resolution means a promise, okay? Okay, as we know with promises, they don't always work out. Whereas I want to think of it more like, let's make a commitment to ourselves, to our higher power, to the universe that's guiding us, because a lot of awarenesses have been brought to our attention over the last year. And it's all good, guys, because we can't change it if we can't acknowledge it. And it's really helping people dig deeper and really just find what they really believe in, what they really align with. And so these truths, which are sometimes difficult, are a blessing. They're showing us something new. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about tonight, is that, through all of it, we're all still here, guys. Those of us that are here are still here, and we're together. And it does take a village. So I want to talk a little bit about a commitment to yourself and commitment to your world, wherever you are, to be your best version based on all the things that you've learned over the last year about yourself, things I've learned about other people, things I've learned about situations. And again, this is why the spiritual perspective is so wonderful, because it has you seeing past some of the human illusions that are going on around us. And it doesn't mean they're bad. It just brings you a different awareness, and you don't take it as personally. That's the best part. Okay. As people are just out there doing what they're doing because that's all they know to do. And now I can accept that or deny that for myself, but I also don't give it the power or the energy that I used to, when I would get triggered or poked by those events and situations and people. And so again, when we change us, it changes everything around us, and it attracts better things, and it also repels things that aren't for our highest and best. And that's kind of hard because we've had a lot of those awarenesses this year about things that you may have done your whole life that just aren't working, and getting back to basics. People have learned so much this year about so many things that they didn't maybe know before, like learning about, putting up food or history, how things are done, slowing down and being more mindful with, how much waste we create, how much useless crap we've bought. We've all been sitting in reflection on how we're living. Are we living at our highest expression? And that's a personal thing. That's only you can decide that. But I want to talk about less resolutions and more commitments. So I'm committed. I made a commitment a very, very long time ago to do this work, and to, so in events, I always joke about it, is that, thanks for showing up and paying me, but, I really work for the other side. And I'm here to translate messages into language for you that you need to hear from your loved ones, guides, ancestors, and just the universe in general. And that's why I love having these group events, which I have 2 events coming up this weekend. I have one Saturday night and I have one Sunday. Now, the one for Sunday only has 6 seats left, but the one for Saturday is still open if you guys are interested in joining me. And it creates such a community inside that room, because we're all hearing these amazing messages. We're all getting inspired by each other's ancestors and relatives. And it makes you feel like you're not doing it by yourself, that we've all experienced death. We've all experienced grief. We've all experienced change in our lives, whether we chose it or it was thrust upon us. And we can all hold the energy together while we navigate through how to handle that from a spiritual perspective. It's really wonderful. So rest. This winter is a time of rest. It's a time of reflecting. So reflecting is like looking in a rearview mirror. So it's looking back at things now that we have had the experience. And now we can see it in a different way. So yeah, I've been through some things. And so when I sit with that and I look at it from this other perspective, I'm like, I can see the blessing in it, or I can see the God moment in it. Thank God that I didn't get my way, or thank God it didn't go my way, because the universe had other plans and it actually worked out better for me in the long run. So this is when you have that level of, understanding and faith. It allows you to see that these things aren't happening to us. They're actually happening for us. And it kind of strips you of the illusion so that you can see things clearer. It might be, painful. It might be you got 1,000 little messages before that going, this is not good. This is not good. And then it goes bad and you're not surprised, but you are a little angry at yourself for, letting that happen. So this is a time of reflecting. And so when I pull out the experiences that I've had over the last year, I sit with those and I say, wow, what did I learn about myself? What did I learn about other people? How could I have done that better or different? What is the God moment in that? What is the message in it? And so that's what we're doing now. So now that we're sitting and reflecting, and this has happened since solstice, okay, that today is a day to commit. I don't want chaos in my life. Peace takes effort. Okay, and who and what I align with defines my character, not theirs, mine. Okay, and so when I sit with that, I make a commitment to myself to expect and create better things for myself, and to be of service. I make a commitment with the other side, which I recommit every year. Okay, so I made this commitment over 30 years ago. And to do it their way, okay? And as much as I'm willful and human, I've learned that my ego gets in the way, and my ego's not my amigo. And this is what I try to bring to you guys, is that, we don't know it all. And no matter how old you are, you're constantly learning. There's constantly shifts in our perspective that show us things in a way that we couldn't see before. And so it's really difficult sometimes to think that you're ignorant about stuff. But if you've only seen things from one way your whole life, or for the bulk of your life, and the universe sets up a situation that shifts your perspective, you start to see things that you couldn't see before. It wasn't that you were stupid or ignorant. It's just that you didn't know. You didn't know. Now you do. Okay, so now that we know, what can we change about ourselves, and how can we attract better things in our world? And so when I make that commitment to myself and the universe, that starts to radiate outside me. So whether it's in my work, with my family, with my friends, that we've been stripped back about what's really important. What are our priorities? And so that's what we're sitting with tonight. And tonight I'm making that commitment to do that. Yep. So that's a promise. That's not that it means to, the word commit means to pull together, so it's not something you do on your own. We're making a commitment with ourselves and something else. That takes two parties to do that. So anyway, so let's see who's here tonight. We've got, now this scroll's funny, as I always say. Hey, Lisa. Hi, Tina. Oh my gosh. Hey, Joan. Thanks for joining me tonight. Hi, Louine. Debbie. So, Happy New Year to you too, Lisa. I think I saw somebody say, Lisa said she was going to plan on smudging tomorrow morning. Right. So there's a number of different rituals for clearing energy or letting out the old. The broom is a spiritual tool as well. So the bristles of the broom represent the feminine, and the handle of the broom represents the male. Okay, and so it brings those energies together. And so when we open up the door and symbolically sweep the old out the door, that is a form of clearing energy. So you can go around the corners of your room, and like I said, it's symbolic. You don't necessarily have to sweep, okay? So we sweep the room to the door, and we open the door, and we gratefully let those things out, and it's clearing the energy. So whether you use a ritual like using incense or sage to smudge or clear energy, those are, so when we open those windows or we open that door and we sweep out the old, it's making room. And I also make a commitment when I do that. Okay. So when I'm doing those energy clearings, whether that's in my own home or in your home, or buildings that I do, I always say, this is my house. I love this house. It's a place of peace, love, and abundance, and everything else has to go. Now, whether that's my own stinking thinking that needs to go, or whether it's old experiences that have built up in a space, or just symbolically saying that I'm clearing out my life. I'm making room for the universe to, manifest things, new things for me. And I'm making that commitment. So you're not only sweeping out the old, you're also setting a new intention. And so setting that intention is, this is my home, and it's sacred space. This is where people come when invited, that we don't bring our shit to someone else's home. Sacred space is a wonderful thing. And so, we need to have that sacred space for us to replenish ourselves, to rest, to nurture ourselves. And so how you take care of your space tells us how what's going on inside. Okay. So externally, open and clear spaces are peaceful. And it creates peace, and it makes room for new things to flow through the space. So again, when I look at things that I've acquired, and again, I don't buy useless stuff anymore. I buy something because it functions physically, emotionally, or spiritually, that it's meaningful. And so the things I keep and the things I have, we all got, clutter that we need to let go of. But again, that's a process. And it's a process of being clear that I don't want to waste my resources on things that don't become more. Okay, so for instance, the word invest, it means to invest in something that's going to grow in value. Okay, so when you look around your house, there's a lot of things that don't grow in value. Okay, they might have emotional, like the things I have, like I have all kinds of things, but everything I have has some kind of a value that makes my life better. Okay, so like I said, keeping around things that are broken, or keeping things that have potential, whether that's a thing or people, okay, that clogs the energy. And so let it go, because if you need it, it'll come back, okay, or another one will appear. But holding space for things that don't quite fit or aren't serving anymore, we need to gratefully let those things go, because that's how we treat our abundance. So my son learned that early on about how we take care of our things, because it was a blessing. The universe provided abundance for us to purchase this thing. And if we're not going to take care of our things, then the universe doesn't see us worthy of more. And so again, this is something you can teach your children. And when he outgrew toys or things, we would do a giveaway. We would take those things and we would donate them. He would clean the toys. He would put new batteries in them if they needed batteries. And we would donate those to, organizations that served underprivileged kids. And he, so again, that's a beautiful thing, is again, letting go of those things gratefully that we've outgrown. Some things are sentimental. It's funny. So I have an entire bin of toys and things from Jared's early life, like when he was a baby or a toddler, or, and so I have like the little Fisher Price telephone that you pull on the cord, and the little Slinky dog, and, so I have these heirloomy toys that we kept because they were sacred. Those were his sacred, lovey things that he loved. And so I kept those, and so again, when he gets more space, he'll be getting those things. Okay. But again, there's things that are heirloomy or important, and then there's things that are just excess. And so he would rather gratefully give those things to other kids. But he always made they were clean. He always made sure they were clean and that they were functional before he donated them. Okay, because he wanted to gift them this thing honorably, And so if you have stuffed animals or things like that, those are kind of harder to get rid of sometimes. And I don't mean get rid, I mean donate. So if you, put them in the dryer with a dryer sheet and fluff them up, or give them a bath, run them through the cycle, so that when somebody receives those things, that there's love on that, and that there's that nurturing energy on those things. And so, I get donations all the time. And they're not always honorably donated, like they're not washed, or this isn't often, guys, okay, but this happens, and people are like, well, it's not, I wouldn't wear it, but somebody might, or it's torn, and again, people, you wouldn't believe what people think, okay, but anyway, so I go through those things before I take them somewhere else, if people bring them to me. But just so you know, how we take care of our things and how we treat those things, even in the giveaway, speaks of gratitude. This was a blessing when I had it, and I've outgrown this now in some way, and so now it's time for me to release this out to the universe as a giveaway, as honorably. So what commitments can we make at this point? So if you want to give me some ideas of what you guys said, what you guys have sat with and realized about, some people have realized they don't know a lot, that they were really distracted by chaos and BS. But I did want to give you guys a message tonight, which was that the tide is shifting. And again, all these distractions. Okay, if I could ask you guys one thing, do not forward on all this hyped up BS about the brokenness in the world. Okay, we already know it's broken, and we know where it's coming from. And the commitment needs to be, what are you doing? What am I doing to see that that does not continue to happen? Okay? And so I want to do forward moving things that are going to inspire all of us. So I'm on all the social media, just so you know. Facebook's very benign, okay? And the algorithms are keeping it this way. They want people distracted and ignorant. So anyway, so I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, I'm on all of those. And so I only align with people that are doing forward moving things, doing cool and new things, whether it's a creative thing or whether it's like I follow this girl who used to be Amish who does cooking, and she's talking about, food. And it was so funny today. I was making this potato salad, and it's labor intensive, but you're putting love in it when you're making it, okay? And if you took the time to grow your food or really prepare things from scratch, you wouldn't waste food, okay? And I'm blessed to have food, okay? And I don't want to waste food. I've been hungry, and so you got to make things stretch. And so when we look at, the things that we have going on in our world, nutrition is not good. Vegetables and stuff are expensive. Vitamins, so when you look at poverty, or you look at that kind of things that are going on in our world that are keeping people in a bad place, I mean, the things that you take for granted that we can't necessarily get all the time, and so you have to make a choice over this or that. Well, I'm going to buy food before I'm going to buy vitamins, okay? And so sometimes, and I've done this because there have been times I've been without insurance, medical insurance, and so I've had to not take my meds like I should, like I would take less of them, because I couldn't afford to just go out and buy another bottle of them, So I understand where these things happen. So these are the commitments that we're making, is to be aware. And like Gandhi, one of my heroes, what can we do to peacefully resist and to push this world forward in a good way? And it's going to take coming together. So commitment means coming together, coming together in agreement. And so I'm committing to you, and I'm committing to this new year to bring us together. And I hope you join me in that commitment. I'm looking forward to moving out into the world in a better way, bigger way. I do have a dedicated space, and we meet up here all the time. So if you guys want to have your own event, or you want to have your own private class, if you have a group of besties and you guys want to all take the astrology class or the dream class, it's a spiritual tool to help us get our own messages. And so you guys can do that. Just call me and schedule. And, I have seating for, this is what the space looks like. I'm going to turn, so this is our movie screen. I actually have a movie screen, and I have a projector. And so we do movies here. Hold on. Let me turn me around. Turn around. So this is our space. I'm at one end of the table, but we have a dedicated space. We have a bathroom, we have a fridge, we have beverages, and we do a lot of really cool things here. So sorry, I don't have all the lights on because I'm down here by myself. But so we have a movie screen. I do movie night. If you guys want to head a book club, or you want to come and be the facilitator for the movie night or whatever we have going on, just give me a call. Again, I can't be the only teacher here. I only know and do so much, okay? And I'm only one person. But it takes a commitment for people to show up and to keep coming back, And so I'm grateful for your fellowship and you following me. Now, again, if you get anything out of these videos and you just want to throw a couple bucks, on here, there's these things on here called stars that you can purchase through Facebook, or you can go to my Venmo on my website and just drop a couple bucks there. But it's always important because it keeps me doing what I do and serving people, especially those who are experiencing something that I just don't charge necessarily for. So So helping them through this moment is very important as a minister and as a spiritual teacher. So, anyway, so let's see. If you go to my products page, I have an Amazon store, and everything we use here is by the spiritual teacher, Jamie Sams. Okay. I always wanted to meet Jamie because she wrote a number of books. But the 2 books, and I say this all the time, that these books saved my life. They allowed me to see myself in a kind and gentle way to make the changes I really needed to make in my life at the time. And it gives you in indigenous wisdom, storytelling, and symbolism. And so these 2 books are very valuable. So this one's called Sacred Path cards, okay? And it's not the cards that are as important as the writings in the book and the stories and the teachings that go along with all the symbolism. But this is indigenous based. And so I was going to pull a Sacred Path card, which is all different kinds of indigenous symbolism and what that means. And so I'm going to pull a card for all of us tonight. And this is the message that brought me on here tonight to talk to you guys. But they really want you to make a commitment. And a commitment means action. Okay, it means partnering. You know, that we're going to do this together. And so when we make that commitment to ourselves or to our universal divine helpers or each other, okay, we show up. We show up. And together, it's just more energy. You know, we can do more. All right, let's see what the card is tonight. Oh, Council Fire, which means decisions. Okay, so let's read the synopsis on that. How interesting. So what do you guys want to commit to in your life this year? What can I do to help you achieve that? You know, how can we create those commitments? You know, and a village is an interdependent place, a community. So anyway, hold on, 24. I'm trying to multitask. Okay. How interesting. You know, there's a lot of healing going on too now, guys. Okay, so we're healing old, you know, again, so we've had all these retrogrades going on. We have 4 retrogrades currently happening, and these retrogrades bring whatever that planet governs into the light so that we can see it, okay? So Saturn is the taskmaster, okay, but I think it was Jupiter. It was bringing old things back again. So people were coming out of the woodwork from the past, okay? And this is going to be going on for a while. So if you want to go to astrologyking.com and look up retrogrades, then you can look at all the planets and see how long they're going to be retrograde, because this is a wonderful time for us to do this inner work of going back, reflecting on some of these relationships, and maybe sometimes we even have to make amends. So, so the council is where you go to bring something to a group of elders. Okay, you bring it to a group of elders, and it's almost like court, okay, but not in that legal way, okay? But when you call the council, it means that you want insight on something that you're bringing to the table. So when someone calls a council, that person must have the courage to accept the decisions that that council makes with grace, because there's a lot of wisdom at that table, okay? For example, if a man is not being fair with a neighbor and receives a judgment against him for poor behavior, he must follow the council's decision on how to right the situation. To admit wrongdoing and to make amends builds character and makes a tribe or nation stronger. There is no losing face when a person is willing to make amends. Honor is found in the willingness to change. This act of courage, which is the willingness to right a wrong, allows everyone to see how the offender is once again walking the sacred path. One comes to realize a sense of unity when observing the way our ancestors had of making democratic social decisions, when the good of the whole is placed before the good of the few. All are assured of a future filled with abundance. These teachings stress that until all people are doing well, in truth, none of the people are doing well. The idea encompasses all races and creeds because Grandfather's sun shines on us all. When we respect the value of the individual and acknowledge the need to nurture the self first so that the talents each individual brings into the world can feed all of the people. If these guidelines are followed, the children of Earth will break the bonds of inequality and dictatorship. Wow. You're not kidding, people. So the application of this is, if you have been waffling over what to do next, the Council Fire card insists that you make a decision. There can be no forward movement if you fail to decide which trail will lead out of the swamp and into the forest. It takes courage to make changes in your life, and all changes must begin with a decision. Do it and don't look back. Life awaits you in all of its beauty. If the decision of another has left you in a precarious position, make new decisions of your own. There is no need to make your decision based upon another's. Consider all possibilities and how your decision affects others. Then be courageous enough to act. Find your truth and stick to it. Commit, right? I'll tell you, the universe is amazing. I love being amazed, but I'm not amazed because this is how it works. You know, they're speaking to all of us. It's just that I listen differently and more often and better than most people. So, you know, I just clear up the static and then teach you how to do it so that you get your own messages and that you trust your own divine knowing. You know, that's what I'm here for. Guys, I got more years behind me than in front of me. I'm not going to be here forever, okay? And I'm here to pass the baton, hand that to you so that you can live an abundant life, so that you can raise your children in a way that you think about not only them, but the 7 generations and what kind of world that we're leaving them with, you know, and leaving them confident and empowered. So this is what we're doing. So let's make this commitment on this New Year's Eve to ourselves, each other, and the world that, again, we've learned a lot. Everybody needs to just sit with that and decide, you know, yeah, I did it that way, but I'm willing to change and I'm willing to make amends for the things that I've done in my ignorance. And then we all move forward together. You know, when we trust ourselves and we trust there's a bigger thing divinely guiding us, nothing's impossible, guys. This stuff is all human created. The universe did not create this. God did not create the dysfunction that we're seeing right now. That's man-made, okay? And the further away from the source that you get, the darker it is, okay? So the closer we get to the source, this human stuff just, you know, we're not going to tolerate it. We don't have to, we can be resistant, spiritually resistant. And I'm not going to buy into the fear and the things. And I will defend and protect myself and others from people that are doing harm in the best way I know how. So that's my commitment, you know, to you, to the world, is that, you know, you have a safe place. If you're ready to evolve and grow, I'm here. So, you know, but you got to come to me. I'm not going to call you up and go, hey, how's that going? You know, that's not healthy. So if the little voice is telling you that you need to do whatever, just listen to it and do what you're told. It's so much easier. Okay. So tonight is New Year's Eve. So we're saying goodbye and thank you, not good riddance. Okay. Thank you, because I can't change it if I don't know about it. And a lot of people are awakening to things that they just couldn't and didn't know before. So be inquisitive. You know, find true sources. Go to the library. Look shit up. Okay? Don't rely on social media to give you your education. Okay? You know, dig in and start looking these things up and learning about history and how can we learn from that. You know, when I was a kid, I loved Plato and Socrates. Okay, I would look up philosophers, and these things apply today, So some of my greatest heroes were old heroes, Gandhi, Socrates, Plato, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Itzhak Rabin. I've had a lot of heroes that were ahead of their time, and they paid greatly for the actions that they took. And I can do those things. I can be brave. I can be courageous, and again, we can all do that. And when you have other people doing it with you, it makes it doable. So we have a whole village here of spiritual badass fairy bugs, Come join us. And just because there's snow on the roof don't mean there's not a fire in the furnace, okay? And we all need elders and leaders and people that are telling us that, encouraging us and supporting us to express our talents and push us out of our comfort zone. And so count me in your commitment to 2026. And I ain't going nowhere, God willing. And let's together make this old world a new world. We can do it. So who's here? Anybody else got anything they want to reflect on or say? Plan on smudging tomorrow. Happy New Year, Mary. Hey, Jenny. Oh, Jack, how are you? I saw your post on Facebook. Guys, some of these folks have been following me or with me for a very long time. And again, we want to use this time of the year to connect each other. And that's why I go live every Wednesday night. And I want to get you guys together and get you to know each other. Donna, Lisa, Debbie, Jack, so when you reach out and friend each other, you all know me, and again, I don't know everybody who's on my follow list, all my friends list, I vet those. So if you really want to interact with me, more on Facebook especially, just send me a friend request. A follow doesn't get all the stuff I put out there, just so you know. And Facebook holds my followers hostage because they're not my friends. So you want to make sure that you friend me. Don't just follow me, because I send out things every day. Every morning I send out some motivational, inspirational thing. So we're sitting with the council now. Okay, and the universe is telling us what we need to do next. Trust them and just commit to doing your part. And the minute you make those changes, everything else begins to change. It's a beautiful, amazing thing. And again, when we're slowing down and we're present, and we're not generated by fear or anxiety, you notice more. You see those God moments more often. So I can make a trip to the grocery store a spiritual adventure, okay? Because I go there for the one thing, but it's never about that one thing, okay? I was telling a story recently about I had a low tire gauge on my car. And this was last year, actually. And so I filled this tire like 3 or 4 times, and I thought, I need to get this checked because I can't afford for it to go flat because I drive in crazy places. So I don't want to break down on the side of the road by myself. So anyway, so I go over to the tire place. And it was kind of busy, and I'm like, hey, I just need somebody to check my tire out, I can wait, I'm good. So I can amuse myself, guys, everywhere, okay? So they finally started to get unbusy. And this young man, I said, how are you doing today? Young man, he goes, I was shocked. He goes, do you really care? Do you really want to know? And do you really care how I am? I said, absolutely. I do care how I'm not just asking you. He goes, most people just ask. They don't really care. He goes, they don't act like a village. I go, dude, you have no idea. So anyway, so I said to him, I said, no, I really do care, honey. What's going on? He goes, I'm just not feeling good today. I got a lot going on in my life. And I said, well, I'm very glad you're here today. I'm glad you're working. And, and I thank you for showing up even though you don't feel like it. And it was funny because before I left the house, I make these little heating pads that you put in the microwave, okay? When I had the herb store, this was a product I sold. And they're these little microwavable heating pads you put in the microwave. And the universe told me, put 2 in your purse on your way. So I put these 2 things in my purse. So this young man, I felt so bad. So I pulled out my little, I call them happy bags, okay? So I gave him one of the happy bags. I told him what it's for. And he started to cry. Right. Somebody saw him. Somebody was part of his village. He didn't feel like he was alone. I'm a mom, okay? I got that mom energy, nurturing, bring a cup of soup, tea, whatever. And that poor young man just started to cry. And I gave him a hug. I said, I hope you feel better, honey, and thank you for being here. I'm so grateful that we met today. And so then the guy comes out from looking at my car. And he goes, I took your tire off. He goes, there's nothing wrong with it. He goes, it's just probably the temperature. And I said, well, that's nice. I said, so how much do I owe you? And he said, nothing. I said, oh, come on. I said, you took the tire off, you checked it, you made sure it was balanced. I mean, and he goes, no, really nothing. So I took that other happy bag out of my purse and I gave it to him and I told him what it was and how to use it. And he started to kind of well up, And again, guys, kindness, it doesn't take a lot to be kind and to notice. We're all working, we're all serving. We're all trying to get there together. And so you got to look for those God moments. So guess what? It was never about my tire. Right? But God, I got me there. They had to fake me over there with a maybe bald tire, broken tire, but it was never about the tire. And so again, when we can remain present to these situations, they're showing us stuff all the time. It's just, let's slow down and notice. Okay? So anyway, let's see who's here. Anybody want a little bit of a message? Donna, you got this is Donna Salvia. So Donna, you got a grandma here who said, you're never going to go back to that craft project? There's some craft project that you keep around because I'm going to do that. She said, you're never going to do that. Just do the giveaway. Stop collecting that. Oh my God. My ex-husband used to say that my hobby was collecting craft shit. And this is why I opened the herb store, because I was crafting so much stuff, I had to have somewhere to sell it. Oh my God. That's so funny. Yeah, that's your grandma. She's so cute. She's like, you're never going to do that project again. So just gratefully let it go. Or take it somewhere where you can teach somebody how to do it. The YWCA downtown has all kinds of fun classes. The library will let you do free classes. There's cool ways to, gift those things forward and not only gift it to somebody, but teach them how to do it. Like I knit, okay, not well, okay, but I knit. I can make only square things, okay? I can make a pot holder, and if I knit really long, it becomes a scarf, okay? But if you want more, you're going to have to find somebody else, okay? But I can at least get you started. Okay. And that's what it is, guys. We all have a talent or something that we can bring to the table to share with somebody. And so Donna, I don't know what your project is, but you need to gift it forward because you're never going to go back to making that. Okay. Or doing that. Oh, that's funny. I love grandmas. They're so funny. I was having a convo with my mother today. I was cutting up the potatoes for potato salad. I do it the exact same way she used to. And it's so damn tasty. So I'm because, my mother used a knife. Like she would peel things without looking. She could take an apple rind off without looking in one piece, okay? And she would have a paring knife, and when she would yell at you, she would wave that knife at you, okay? And I'd be like, backing up. And she's like, what do you think, I'm going to stab you? I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe. So anyway, as I got the knife and I'm cutting up the potatoes and the all the things, I cut it the same way she did. And I was like, I go, Mom, come on. We need you down here. Okay. I'm making your potato salad for the family. It's something that brings them joy, that they remember you. I said, but we really need your help, And, so that's meditative time with your ancestors, guys. When you're making those heirloom foods or you're spending time alone in the kitchen, cutting things up, it's a mindful process to be present, to what's going on. And that's when I have those conversations with my helpers and guides on the other side. So, okay, guys, who else we got? Hey, Terry Day, it would be a good idea for you to smudge your house, to let out the old energy, okay? Again, all those things were lessons, things we learned, hopefully, okay? And if we need to sit with it and say, what did I learn from this? What did I learn from this? People are teachers. They're showing us something that we need to see about ourselves, not them, okay? And so it's time to clear out the old. Let go of let's let the old out and bring the new in. So you have like a mom person and an aunt, like two women together that are related to each other, and they're coming and saying that it's time to, let it go, let it out. It's a great time to release emotion too, guys. So this is a wonderful time to just let yourself feel it. Feel it is to heal it. And so just let it happen until, you get another truth out of it. So yeah, so that's what we're doing. So 2025, thanks for coming, but you gotta go. I want you guys to look up the history of the song Auld Lang Syne. Auld Lang Syne is actually in Scots. It's in a Scottish language. And the translation of it is just beautiful. Most people don't even know what they're singing because it's in Scottish. Okay, so look up Auld Lang Syne and what that means. So I'll raise a glass to you and you raise a glass to me. It's about remembering the times we had together and those that aren't with us anymore. And how, even though there might be oceans between us, that we're just going to share a cup of kindness for the days of Auld Lang Syne. And Lang Syne actually means time's gone by. So I'm raising a cup to you guys tonight. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for bringing me fellowship and joy and all these wonderful things. And my wish for you is that you commit to yourself to make your world and the world a better place. And hopefully we'll do that together. So, cheers. Thanks for joining me. See you next year.